We saw so much dark pool activity last week on the S&P 500, and really this has just been incredible. This was Friday. This one was not as active as the other days. However, we did have 2.4 billion in accumulation for that 451.44 level, and also 1.3 billion in accumulation for that 452.97. Now, here's where it gets interesting. If we look back at prior days, such as March 31st, and look down on here, we have 9.2 billion in accumulation for 458.62. This, for reference, in my data over the last 3 years just for dark pools, has been the fourth largest accumulation day in terms of premium for dark pool on a signature print. So this was a lot, and all of the other 3 days that I had, the 3 days that are higher than this, marked major trend reversals, or were around that time where a major trend reversal happened, where basically we were at the bottom of a correction and the correction popped up and then started cranking, or the one was at the top of a correction, or top of a high, and then it started the correction. So ones that are this large tend to mark where that trend is going to change in the future. So this is very important to know going forward because of how large this order was, or how many orders hit the tape here for 9.2 billion in premium. And also there was a ton of other stuff that had 2.1 billion as well at the 451 level. So this is going to be very important. At least this level is going to be very important going forward. If we're able to get back up over it, then that would be semi-bullish. But as of now, it definitely looks like a sell. So it looks like we're going to be around this range for a bit now. Along with that, I want to check SPY's flow for all of last week. We can do this by going in the historical flow tab here on Cheddar Flow and going back to the start of the week, which is March 28th to, well, right now it would be Sunday on the 3rd, but to Friday on April 1st. April Fool's Day, and I will filter this one for over $500,000 in premium because I want to see what the big money is doing for here. And basically what we're kind of seeing on SPY, which I'll click enter there, is we had actually quite a bit of bullish flow at the end of Friday. We had a good bounce on SPX and the S&P 500 where we bounced straight off my yellow trend line that we had here. This was a previous megaphone pattern, which I referenced once on Twitter on Friday, if you guys do follow the account. But this was a very nice retest and bounce off of that. However, the day before was very red. This is a very thick red candle all the way down. So this is probably going to provide some chop going forward, and it could be something very similar to back here in early February where we chopped back and forth. This is a very similar setup, and actually with that we had a nice double top off of this. After a few days of consolidation, we had a double top and then boom, straight down, and it started a major corrective phase for the S&P 500. So we have to watch out for that. Potential double top up here would be definitely a decent short risk reward position, because if it did pass up past this level that I have right here of 4,662 and closed above, then we can get out of that for just a slight loss versus a ton of downside potential. So looking at this, it was bullish in terms of the end of Friday, so that might go into Monday. However, the general consensus is that it's pretty bearish going forward in terms of the next 2, 3, 4, and 5 months. So the reason I am saying that is because a lot of the expirations we're seeing on these large $1 million plus puts are either May, we have June over here, and we have July as well. And this is pretty consistent through all of the very large golden sweep puts that we're seeing. And Cheddar Flow automatically highlights these huge golden sweep puts that we see a ton of premium in, like 6.6 million with 10,000 contracts. That's a huge order. And this one was far out of the money as well. And they chose the May 20th expiration on that. So still the consensus is bearish for that longer term view. And you'll see it consistently all throughout last week with that flow. So definitely something to worry about going forward. However, just know that as of now, it's still the market can still chop within this range before the potential fall off that these institutions are predicting. And the last thing I want to do with you guys today is actually something new to these weekly recap videos on Cheddar Flow, and I really like doing this every weekend on Sunday. Basically, I'll go to historical flow tab like we just did with the S&P 500. I will go back to the start of that week, which in this case was March 28th, to the end of the week, which is April 1st. I will filter for over $500,000 worth of premium, and also I will filter for only stocks, so we're not seeing any of those ETFs or index trades on there. And basically click done on that and click search. I want to see all the stocks that had over $500,000 worth of premium. I'm not as interested in stuff like Tesla as much unless we saw it very consistent. Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, that kind of stuff. I want to look for ones that are a bit smaller. Costco, for example, would be a bit smaller. This is an interesting trade. We had $550,000 in premium for that 610 strike, which was very far out of the money for the July. So this automatically would catch my eye. Because of that, this was an opening order because the volume was over the open interest, which we talked about in our other video we just posted last week about the opening and closing orders, and also a ton of different Cheddar Flow software stuff and how to tell when something has a greater potential of going up. But basically that caught my eye. So what I'll do, I'll go straight over to the chart, see if it matches any of my criteria. And actually, this looks really good. This thing is at all-time highs literally right now after we had a major correction in the S&P 500. So that is looking really nice. And as of now, it is over the uptrend. So any retest potentially this week of this trend line that I have right here could be a very viable buy with very good risk reward off of this trend line. So basically, if a daily closes below, at least 2 dailies close below this, you would be able to cut that position. Otherwise, you can ride this thing up very long, right, for about 600 to 610, which is exactly the strike that they chose on here. 610 works very nicely off of the top of this, but looking like a very nice cup and handle or potential cup and handle pattern as of now. And basically, this is the cup that we have right here, and then the handle would be forming up here with a slight pullback, but looks very bullish right now. So that's just a way that we can use the software to kind of get a sense on what looks very bullish. And obviously, not everything that I choose, not the first thing that I look at is going to always be the best thing. It just happened in this case right now where the chart really looked well, on top of the fact that the flow was very nice on it from this past week. So that would be something that I'd look more into. But basically, you'd be able to look through all of these orders on here, see if you find anything that interests you, and just go over to the chart, make sure that it works well with the chart. And then if you like both of those variables, the flow and the technical analysis, you can start to check a little bit more into the flow as well as good risk reward setups. For example, the one I just shared with you here of a potential risk reward of that daily candle on the retest of this level. So overall, really like using this setup, and you guys can do it too, looking through all of these orders because there were a ton of orders over $500,000 worth of premium this past week. So definitely something very useful to use in your trading and I find very beneficial. But otherwise, appreciate you guys coming out to watch this video, and I will see you guys next week.